Hello, everybody. Hey, there's been some mystery about why some of these WLtoys cars run on 3S and some don't, and I'm gonna see if I can clear some of that up. So let's just go ahead and get started, and I'll catch you on the other side of the intro. I think this is going to be a fairly short video, at least by my standards. I've got some capacitors here, and what I want to show, I've heard several people make the comment that the 144001, 124018, 124019 have a 60 amp ESC at them, so they should be able to handle 3S. Well, the amperage has absolutely nothing to do with it. It could be 120 amp ESC that won't handle 3S, and I'll explain that. So what you've got here, the components inside there have to be capable of handling the kind of voltages that from a 3S battery. The 144001 was the best I saw. The three that I have did not have a label telling you to run them on 2S or 7.4 volts. The new one right here does. It's got a little sticker on the top and it says 7.4 volt. So it's not intended to run at a higher voltage. If the amperage was a problem, it would heat up after some period of time. But I've seen several of the cars where they hook up a battery, never even squeeze the trigger, and they've got they're rolling smoke. So has nothing to do with amperage, because they're not putting any amperage to it if you hadn't squeezed the trigger yet. But here's where we have a problem. This little capacitor right here, okay, that's a 10 microfarad capacitor. It's rated at 250 volts, okay? And we got this little capacitor here. It's 100 microfarad. It's only rated at 35 volts. So the voltage of the capacitor is where your problem comes in. Here's one. It's a 1 microfarad. It also is rated at 160 volts. Okay, well, so, wow, that's way more than the 3S battery. Okay, here's one little bitty jobby here. It's rated at 50 volts. Okay, now we come over to, I think I just did this one. Yeah, it's 160. And here's one rated at 50 volts. Uh-oh. This one's only rated at 10 volts. That's 1,000 microfarad, but it's only rated at 10 volts. You put a 3S battery pack on this. Now you can take these other capacitors that I just showed you, you can put them directly across the hot and the ground. They're not going to blow. You put this one across a 3S pack, you're going to let the magic smoke out. If you let the magic smoke out fast enough, they pop, sound like a 22 going off. So these are the problems that we run into when these companies build these things. You can get a 10 microfarad capacitor that's rated at 100 and this one's rated at 250 volts. You can get a 10 microfarad that's only rated at 10 volts. So when they spec these things out, they're looking at the capacitors that they need. Capacitors basically smooth your voltages and things like that. Here's one here, 220 microfarad. It's a 200 volt, you know. So when they spec these cars out, they're looking at what capacitors that are needed. And it turns out, well, here's a good example. 3,300 microfarad, 6.3 volts. You put this one on a 2S battery, it's going to let the magic smoke out. So, and I've got this is all stuff I've pulled out of different equipment that have stereos and what have you that blew up, and I salvaged the components. But here's the thing. When they spec these things out, they need specific capacitance to do whatever the job that capacitor needs to do. And if they're anticipating a 7.4 volt limit, they can put a 10 volt capacitor in there. And they buy these things in bulk. So Occasionally, they might get a better deal on, say, a 220 microfarad capacitor that's rated at 16 or 20 volts. It might be cheaper than the same capacitance in a 10 volt capacitor. So what happens is, occasionally you get one of these that's it's got the right combination of components in it, something about the batch that they got. But to me, it's a little irresponsible. I've heard several people, oh yeah, man, this is a great, looking at the 1440001 in particular. Oh, this is a great car. You can get 40 miles an hour right out of the box, and then they throw, if you put a 3S battery on it. Well, it's not designed, obviously, for a 3S battery. There are a few anomalies, but I can't in good conscience tell you that yours is going to run on a 3S battery. I've seen too many of them where they plug the battery in, never even move the car, and they let the magic smoke out. Now I'm going to show you something. I've got to change the scale on my camera, so let me get that changed, and we'll be right back. Hey, not to derail this video, but I've got some plans for this car in the near future. Something to do with tires. I'm not going to go too much into it right now, but if you want to keep up with the project, it's going to have something to do with the tires, probably going to some sort of a brushless system. I don't know yet. I might try to build a set of wheel adapters for it and a couple other things. So if you're interested in that, think you might be interested in that, subscribe and keep an eye out for it. Back to the capacitor video. Okay, I had to change the scale because I want to show you a couple of badass capacitors. All right. Now that's a badass capacitor. Just so it's not a magic trick, that's what we were looking at earlier. Now, these are only rated at 40 volts. So 150,000 microfarad, 40 volts DC. These are so bad that you have to have a sharding bar on the top of it so that you don't you know whether it's charged or not. If I took this piece of wire or any other piece of 12 gauge, 14 gauge wire, if I charge this capacitor up and put a piece of wire across it, it's going to melt that piece of wire. But this is obviously not intended for my RC use. It's for a completely different project I got going. I've got 10 of these going into another project. Totally not RC related. So for the people that are promoting this, I know they've got a link to sell it on their site and everything, and I appreciate that. I have no problems with affiliate links. I have affiliate links also. But to promote the 144001 as a 3S car, or the 124018, 124019, to promote any of those as a 3S capable car, you just shouldn't do it. There's going to be a few people that are going to get by with it, and you get by with it for a while. There may be one or two of them out there that run for months and months or years and years on 3S, but the likelihood is if you run these on 3S, you're going to damage the car, and I think I explained why. So if you got something out of this, if you know somebody that's thinking about getting one of these cars, pass this information along to them. This series of WLtoys seems to be way more delicate, built with lower voltage components than the other stuff. I've got a 12428, had no problems with it. And I haven't tried really running too much else in the WLtoys lines on 3S batteries. But anyway, so just food for thought. I've never taken one of these apart to try to identify the component. It's so destructive taking them apart. And they're cheap enough, I just throw them away and get another one. Anyway, if you know somebody with one of these cars, and you want to share this information with them, pass it along. Bad idea to run these on 3S. If you want to do it and say, okay, well, if mine works, then that's fine. If it doesn't work, that's fine. Great. be forewarned that it's likely to not work. So if you're just planning on go ahead and putting a brushless system in it, rather than burn up the factory electronics, go ahead and do your brushless upgrade. Save the factory electronics for some other 2S project that you might come up with down the road. Maybe you build a boat, or you've got some kind of more of a toy grade car that you want to do an upgrade on. Salvage the motor and ESC that comes out of this stock and build something with it. Make another project out of it. No point in burning it up for no reason. Listen, I'm not trying to get in anybody's face. What they do on their websites, their business. I just hate seeing this thing promoted as 3S capable right out of the box. So anyway, I appreciate everybody, appreciate all my subscribers, viewers. I have a lot more viewers than I have subscribers. So pass this along to somebody. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down on the way out. That helps the channel more than anything. So appreciate everybody. Take care, and I'll catch you down the road.